Old School RuneScape has one of the deepest and most difficult to master combat systems of any video game ever made. If you've never played RuneScape, or if you've maybe only tried it a little bit, that might sound surprising to you. It might also sound surprising that it had its most successful year ever last year, in 2025, by concurrent players. But how is this possible? Isn't Old School RuneScape some kind of point-and-click browser MMO from like 2004? I mean, look at it. How could this be one of the most popular games in the world? Well, as somebody who has been chronically addicted to RuneScape for about half a decade now, I will tell you why. Because I'm a psychopath. But also because Old School RuneScape is incredibly rewarding in many different ways. The constant trickle of dopamine from leveling up your skills, to the big hits of dopamine when you complete a quest or reach level 99 in something, to the insane spikes of dopamine when you do something cool or when you obtain that rare drop that you've been looking for. It's kind of like heroin. It's also rewarding in getting better. Self-improvement, at the video game. We're not getting all life coachy here, you just get better at the game. I don't know if any video game has ever had a bigger discrepancy between its skill floor and its skill ceiling. You start by clicking the crab and going to make a sandwich, and you end at whatever Port Kazard is doing in his latest video. I don't know what's going on here either, don't worry. A little disclaimer, perhaps. This game is not for everybody. Despite its popularity, it is a grind. Everything is a grind. Skills, money, bosses, items. You will often find yourself doing the same thing for tens to hundreds of hours. But that's like the charm of it. It is all about delayed gratification. You work hard to train your skills, you grind to the boss to get the drop. It takes a long time, but it feels really good when you achieve the thing that you've been working towards. The grind is insane, but the nice thing is that a massive chunk of it is super chill, which is another part of the appeal of this game, the incredible variety it has to offer. Sometimes it's relaxing. You're fishing while you watch Netflix on your other monitor. Sometimes it's fun and silly when you're doing some kind of activity with your clan, and sometimes it's intense when you're doing raids or trying to figure out the new boss that just came out. While I'm mostly here for the killing stuff though, this game has all kinds of stuff to offer. In fact, there are 4 core pillars that make up Old School RuneScape. I should quickly explain the old school thing. Okay, so RuneScape originally came out in like the early 2000s, and then it was really popular throughout the 2000s, and then in the early 2010s, they kind of ruined the game with a bunch of very questionable updates, to the point that all of the original players quit the game and were angry, and so Jagex, the developers, were like, they put up like a poll, a vote of like, hey, should we relaunch an old version of the game, which succeeded massively, and so they made Old School RuneScape. It was originally a backup of the servers from 2007, but since it's taken its own life and become its own thing. There is no main story in RuneScape. It is a game full of things that you can do. One of those things, quests. Quests in RuneScape are pretty unique, unlike your other, typical MMOs that are go over somewhere and kill 10 goblins. No, these are each their own little adventure or story with NPCs, dialogue, some cutscenes here and there. Some are completely standalone, some are part of, bigger multi-quest storylines, and there are now over 150 quests in the game. And to be perfectly honest, the quality of these varies wildly. Some of them are these huge multi-hour adventures with crazy boss fights and cutscenes and well-written stories, and some of them are rat catchers. The game never technically forces you to do any quests, but a huge chunk of the content and activities in the game are locked behind one quest or another, so you'll end up doing most of them over time. If you're watching this video and you've never played or you just started, I would recommend trying to complete Dragon Slayer. as your first sort of big quest goal. It'll give you a nice little sampler of lots of different things without being, a multi-100-hour marathon. You'll have to do some exploring, you'll have to grind out some skill requirements, and you'll have to complete some prerequisite quests first. Oh, and the other nice thing about doing quests is that they give you big juicy XP rewards, so if you want to skip some of the annoying early game grinds, do your quests. And speaking of skill requirements, pillar number 2. You level up your skills by gaining experience points. Holy mackerel, why didn't anyone else think of that before? There are 24 skills in Old School RuneScape, which sounds weird to say because there was 23 for a very long time, but Sailing just came out. They all start at level 1, except for hit points, which starts at level 10, and they go all the way up to level 99. These can be roughly grouped into a couple different categories. You've got your combat skills, your gathering skills, your production skills, and then a few other miscellaneous ones. I'm not going to go in depth on every skill here because a lot of them are pretty self-explanatory, like, yeah, let me write a whole paragraph about what the woodcutting skill does. I'll just mention the ones here that are a bit less intuitive. Combat skills. Attacking things in this game basically works like Dungeons & Dragons. You roll your attack against the enemy's defense, and if your hit is successful, then you roll independently for damage. Attack is basically your accuracy, defense is, your defense, and strength it determines your maximum hit. For range and magic attacks, it works the same way, but they're all just kind of bundled up into one stat. Hit points level is literally just how many hit points you have. Prayer allows you to use toggleable buffs in combat that drain your points over time, and your prayer level is both something that unlocks new prayers and it determines how many prayer points you have that will drain over time. Don't be like me. When I was a kid, I ignored prayer because I didn't know what it did, but that's dumb. It's really extraordinarily important, so start burying some bones. Rune crafting lets you craft runes. Get it? Runes like RuneScape? Alright, anyway, you need runes to cast spells, so they're important. Herblore is making potions. Agility unlocks shortcuts around the world and makes your run energy recharge faster. And Slayer is pretty cool. It's basically genocide the skill. You talk to one of the few Slayer masters around the world, they'll assign you a Slayer task, and then that task you have to kill a certain number of a certain monster. It starts really boring. It'll be like, kill 15 rats, but then once you get to the higher level ones, it gets pretty cool. You'll start leveling up very quickly, but XP in this game, as you level up, scales logarithmically with this terrifying equation that I probably would have understood a couple years ago in university, but I sure don't anymore. Just for reference, when I said this game is a grind, to max your account, most people will be looking from like 4,000 to 7,000 hours, depending on how sweaty you want to be. The good news, though, is that you're never under any obligation to ever do this. If you want to beat every quest, the highest requirement for every skill is usually from like 70 to 80, which can be done, in a few hundred hours, which is still a lot of time, don't get me wrong, but, way more reasonable. Going for max is a completionist thing. Some of the best players the game has ever seen do not have maxed accounts, so, don't worry about it. PvP. It's confusing and scary, and I don't like it. And yes, that is because I'm bad. Moving on. Pillar number 4. PVM. Blood for the Blood God, skulls for the Skull Throne. Now, to attack something in RuneScape, you click on it. Oh man. My rock despawned. Hold on. I'm mining stars. We gotta pause the recording here. Crafting guild. Alright, we're going. Alright, we're mining. Let's go. Okay. Where was I? What was I talking about? To attack something in RuneScape, you click on it. Old School RuneScape has one of the deepest and most difficult to master combat systems of any video game ever made. Hey, okay, I'll get to that. Attacking things is not your only option. You can also move. You fucking obviously. But remember prayer I mentioned in the skills? Well, the three most important ones are protect from range, protect from magic, and protect from melee. These make you completely invulnerable to their respective attack style, although you can only have one at a time active. Oh, and if you hear somebody in whatever context say pray mage or pray melee, that means to use said respective prayer, protection prayer. There's also gear. There are no classes in RuneScape. How you attack and defend is based on whatever gear you're wearing in that instant. So if you wield a sword, you'll run up and hit them with the sword. But if you switch to a bow, you'll start shooting them with that. You can switch as often as you want. Your armor affects your defense, but also gives you huge bonuses to your attack. So if you want to shoot something, using range armor is good. The more pieces of gear that you bring of a specific style, the more damage you'll do, but it requires a lot more precise clicking to switch into all of that gear. A lot of weapons also have special attacks that you can use by clicking this button. They'll drain your special attack meter, which replenishes over time, and all of these things are very simple mechanics on their own, but it is through the combination of these basic things that you get, well, you'll see. Picture this. You're fighting a cow. You click on the cow, your dude runs up and starts hitting it. And then it hits you back. Ouch, that cow does a lot of damage. Well, I guess you'd better pray melee. But then the cow starts throwing rocks up into the air that will crush you, so now you have to dodge the rocks too. The cow now starts shooting magical blasts at you, so you have to run out of melee range, and then you switch to your range gear as fast as possible and start praying against the magic attacks. But then the cow starts shooting arrows at you too, and they alternate with the magic attacks, so you have to switch back and forth, and then the cow starts shooting fucking lightning at you that chases you around, and the whole floor turns into lava, and you have to stay on a little platform while dodging rocks, lightning, staying out of melee, and switching your prayers back and forth. And what I'm describing now is not a cow, it is the Leviathan, one of the late game bosses. This game gets absolutely nutty with the mechanics. For example, this is Yama. He's one of the newer bosses. He's a giant demon that attacks with all three styles, drops giant meteors, summons weird orb things, summons fire waves, summons shadow waves, and then occasionally sends you over to deal with his accountant. RuneScape has raids, which you might not expect for a browser game from 2000 and something, but it does, and they're really, really cool. There's 3 of them at the moment, although Raids 4 has been announced, and dear God, does it look cool. It's coming out at the end of this year. But at the moment, there's the Chambers of Xeric, the Theater of Blood, and the Tombs of Amasket. They're all quite unique. They all have their own special mechanics. For example, Chambers of Xeric has like a bunch of different possible rooms, and it will randomly select like 5 out of 15 that can be puzzles or bosses or skilling challenges, and then it always has the same final boss. Theater of Blood is like, I mean, it's absolutely peak. It's basically just a boss rush against some like insane bosses, and ends with this horrifying spider woman. And then Tombs of Amasket is well, they made it less bad recently, which is really nice. No, it's pretty fun. It's just got some annoying parts and isn't as good as the other two. There used to be some really irritating mechanics that they've actually recently removed in a big update. So it's actually a lot more fun now than it used to be. And regardless of your opinion on the raid itself, the music absolutely slaps. What do you get for all of this effort, though? Money, prestige, and most importantly, pets. The final secret pillar of why Old School is awesome is the community. Perhaps the biggest way that it is actually Old School. From the Grand Exchange to popular skilling spots to raids to Wintertod, actually strike that last one, clans, there are tons of super active clans that run events like Skill of the Week or Bingo, which is a lot of fun. This game is honestly full of awesome people, and while there are some, Reddit mod elitist kind of nerds, they are in the vast minority to the people who are actually, pretty cool. So that is Old School RuneScape. It is a game that has consumed more of my life than breathing oxygen. It's a grind. It's not nostalgia bait, despite having Old School in the name. So if you've never played it and you're looking for an MMO that kind of scratches that itch of a grind and a community, I cannot recommend RuneScape enough. The future looks incredibly bright. The 2026 roadmap has come out recently, and there's tons of new content coming, and a lot of it looks pretty rad. I should warn you though, once you're in, you will never be out. So that's, my name is Kamikaze. I like RuneScape. If you have played RuneScape before, then you're probably addicted like I am. Yeah. Please click the subscribe button. I would appreciate that. I will be making more videos soon. Maybe RuneScape, maybe not. Who's to say? Who's to say with Deadman coming out? Oh yeah, actually, if you're watching this video on the day it comes out, I might be streaming Deadman mode. I'm terrible at PvP, as I said, but we'll give it a whirl. So come on over, twitch.tv/kamikaze, and watch me suffer in real time. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.